At the 100-day mark, it's very clear that Donald Trump's presidency is falling apart. He's suffering daily losses in court. His approval rating is at historic lows, and he just fired his national security advisor in Mike Waltz. But it's not just his presidency that's collapsing. Donald Trump's brain is also falling apart as well. And we saw that during a prayer event in the Rose Garden at the White House today when Donald Trump gave kind of a speech. Not really. It was more of a rambling mess that took a shocking turn at one point when Donald Trump just abruptly stopped speaking in a very humiliating moment for not just himself, but the audience there too. We're going to get into it all. But before we do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video. And if you haven't already and you enjoy our channel, to hit that subscribe button. It goes a long way and it really does mean a lot to me. Now, of course, we are going to get into that moment where the speech stopped. But first, I want to start with where the speech started. And it was Donald Trump right here.
68, and this is a religious ceremony to me, but that's part of the religion. Because if your taxes go up 68%, you might give up your religion. You might have no choice. You'll be working too hard to try and make it. And that's the Democrats. That's what they'll give you. They'll vote against it. It's not even believable. It's called Trump derangement syndrome because, honestly, everything in there is good for Democrats, Republicans, and everybody else.
The Democrats are going to get your taxes so high you stop being religious. Donald Trump very well knows his approval rating could not get worse. Actually, that's not true. It's going to continue to get worse, but it is horrifically and historically bad. It's the reason that he said that he's thinking about eliminating income tax entirely, and it's also the reason that he is now threatening that Democrats are coming to take your religion away. That's what's happening? Or, you know, maybe Donald Trump's Chinese Bibles with 145% tariffs on them will become so expensive you won't be able to engage in your religion. Oh, this is just ridiculous. And it continued to get crazier when Donald Trump said this right here.
And, you know, they work right out of the White House. They've never done that. That's never been done before. No other president allowed that. I think, you know, they say separation. They say separation between church and state, they told me. I said, all right, let's forget about that for one time. We said, really, the separation? I don't know. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? I'm not sure. But whether there's separation or not, you guys are in the White House where you should be, and you're representing our country, and we're bringing religion back to our country, and it's a big deal.
He really just enjoys wiping his butt with the values of this nation, doesn't he? Just could not care less. Everyone who talks about like the patriotism of the Republican Party, oh, they're such patriots, they love this country. Look, he hugged a flag. Oh, it's so amazing. These are the values of America. The separation of church and state, the freedom of people to practice whatever faith they would like without being persecuted for it. Those are American values. You know, all these conservatives talk about, oh, the West, these Western values, they're being attacked. Yeah, by Donald Trump. He is the one undermining what is the core value of this nation. Freedom to practice as you'd like, to love as you choose. That is what they're attacking. And of course, it's not surprising. Donald Trump loves undermining the values of this country, including democracy, which he did right here.
Very, very special day coming up. You know, we have a lot of them during this term. And interestingly, I had none of them had I not had a rigged election. Had the election not been rigged, I would have been out of here. I would have been gone. The radical left would have said, we got rid of him finally. But no, now they have me for another 4 years. We talk about that. And in the other...
He's still talking about the 2020 election. We just have the most petulant child president possible, don't we? It just could not get more self-serving or unaware of just the ridiculous things he says every day. And that was made incredibly clear when about 30 minutes into this speech, Donald Trump finally realized while everyone else was standing in the heat, actually, I'll just let you take a look.
You know what? Just sit down, please. I didn't even know you were standing. What an honor that you stood so long. Wow, that's a great honor. Thank you. Because I know if Biden were up here, you would have been seated. You might have never stood up. No, that's a great honor. I didn't realize it. I signed an executive order to combat anti-Semitism. It's a big thing. A big thing. And I set up a DOJ task force, which is really a big thing, and Dan, you're going to be involved in it, to eradicate anti-Christian bias. You haven't heard that, but there's anti-Christian bias also. And in just a few moments, I'll also be signing an executive order creating a presidential commission on religious liberty, which is really why we're here.
So Donald Trump is 30 minutes into this speech. People are standing in the heat in the Rose Garden, and he finally realizes, oh, I should probably tell them to sit down. He is so self-centered that he can't even think about anyone else for even half of a second. And then for some reason, he starts rambling about Joe Biden, saying, oh, if it was Joe Biden, you wouldn't stand, but you also wouldn't sit, and you wouldn't, and he, and I don't know. Like, it's just, we have a president with a broken brain, and it continues to become more apparent and more dangerous every single day. But this is clearly an administration without empathy for anyone else. It is all about serving themselves in the billionaire class. And Rachel Maddow went into more detail about how Elon Musk did that in his tenure at Doge in this clip right here.
Some new threats in what Trump is doing that the country, I think, hasn't really focused on yet, but I think this is stuff that's on its way. On Monday night, we talked about the first thing I really wanted to raise a flag on, which is this military zone Trump has created on the border where active duty U.S. troops have been given legal authorization to arrest U.S. citizens and search U.S. citizens on U.S. soil. That is not something the American military is supposed to do. Second thing we talked about last night, which is all of these immigration-related powers being turned against U.S. citizens, agents smashing up the house of a U.S. citizen and her daughters in Oklahoma City, U.S. citizens getting letters from the government telling them to leave the country, U.S. citizens being arrested and held in immigration prisons, U.S. citizen children being sent out of the country. This is something that is already happening here. This is not a slippery slope to worry about in the future. It's already happening. But here's the third thing I wanted to raise. Something that we sort of just, I think, haven't really gotten our heads around it yet. And it relates to Doge and Elon Musk and what he's done in Washington. But it's the sort of black box at the center of whatever he has been doing in Washington. We know that Doge is not about saving money, because even the amount of money that they claim to have saved, it's barely more than the amount of money they are thought to have wasted with the way they have behaved in Washington. There's been a ton of embarrassing and really indefensible mistakes that Musk and the Doge team have made. But those mistakes, no matter how much publicity they get and how often they need to be reversed, it hasn't led them to stop making those mistakes. They haven't course corrected on any of that. So it seems like maybe they're not even viewing those things as mistakes. The one thing they are consistently doing and doing as aggressively as possible, and they haven't given us an explanation for why they're doing it, is that they are aggregating data. It is a huge data grab from what appears to be every agency in the government. And that really appears to be their only consistent priority, the only thing they are consistently and aggressively doing everywhere they insert themselves. What is that about? Why are they doing that? This is from investigative journalist Julia Engwin, who has reported on data privacy and security for years. She's writing in the New York Times today. She says, quote, Doge is assembling a sprawling domestic surveillance system for the Trump administration, the likes of which we have never seen in the United States. Over the past 100 days, Doge teams have grabbed personal data about U.S. residents from dozens of federal databases and are reportedly merging it all into a master database. This month, House Democratic lawmakers reported that a whistleblower had come forward to reveal that the master database will combine data from federal agencies, including Social Security, the IRS, and the Department of Health and Human Services. The whistleblower also alleged that Doge workers are filling backpacks with multiple laptops, each one loaded with purloined agency data. What this amounts to is a stunningly fast reversal of our long history of siloing government data to prevent its misuse. In their first 100 days, Musk and Trump have knocked down the barriers that were intended to prevent them from creating dossiers on every U.S. resident. Now they seem to be building a defining feature of many authoritarian regimes, comprehensive files on everyone, so they can punish those who protest. A longtime civil liberties lawyer tells Ms. Engwin for the Times today, quote, this is what we were always scared of. The infrastructure for turnkey totalitarianism is there for an administration willing to break the law. Joining us now is Julia Engwin. She's founder of Proof News. She's the author of Dragnet Nation, A Quest for Privacy, Security, and Freedom in a World of Relentless Surveillance. Ms. Engwin, I really appreciate you being here tonight. Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
So I think that your op-ed is really helpful. I'm not any more tech savvy than the average bear, but I have found myself increasingly worried about what we don't know about why Doge is assembling data the way they are and what they are planning to do with it. For an audience that may not be totally familiar with surveillance technology and the kind of privacy protections that you're so well versed in, can you explain in just layman's terms what you're most worried about here?
Well, what I'm worried about is the fact that the federal government has incredibly sensitive data about us, and we never really think about it, right? We send in our IRS returns, and that every penny we've spent and everything we've earned. We file an unemployment claim benefit. We get a Social Security check. And all those things are separate, and we deal with separate agencies. And never before has the government contemplated putting them all in one place. But that's what Doge is doing. And the thing is that the reason that governments want to do that usually is they want to build these comprehensive dossiers on people. So essentially, the thing that authoritarians really like is they want to be able to say with a snap of a finger, I don't like this person, let's find something on him. And if they have to go to 6, 10 agencies to figure out that thing, that's hard. They want it all in one place. So they want to be able to just get something on you. China is sort of the example that does this. They have these master files that they have on every citizen that are everything that they've ever done. It's called social credit scores. They have, and they use it to punish dissent. And I'm very worried that that's where we're going. We have a president who's been really outspoken about he wants revenge on his political enemies, and we have somebody collecting data about everyone so that he can go after his enemies.
You write really, I think, articulately and clearly about the privacy laws and the sort of inherent safety structures that are built into siloing data the way that you're describing, so it can't be easily combined. But if the type of one-stop shopping master database is being compiled here, is U.S. privacy law powerless against it? I mean, could legal action force the dismantling of something like that, or would it effectively be beyond the law?
Well, our privacy law is really not up to the task. First of all, we are one of the only nations that doesn't have a comprehensive privacy law that protects, basically sets a minimum baseline for all data usage. Every other country has one. And almost every other country has a data protection authority that's an agency tasked specifically with protecting data. So we're already behind.
This is what it is about. This is what it has always been about. It is about serving the billionaires. It is about serving those closest to Donald Trump. Corruption, criminality, and chaos define this administration. And it's what we need to call out every single day. And we're doing so on this show. And if you want to support that, as always, you can hit that subscribe button, leave a like on this video. And if you stuck around to the end, you can drop a blue heart in the comments. And until next time, I'll see you soon.